Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good day, sister.
Good day. I know we're laughing because I started talking. She says the recording last week that she recorded was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 22 seconds. And I was like, oh, I don't even know what's going on. Like the 111s, 1111, the twos, the threes, and the fours have all been in my space, not in that sequence, but like consistently. It's like constant all the time. And I'll see it and then I'll hear a reading because I like to listen to readings on YouTube. And the reading will say, and if you're seeing 444 today, and it's like, come on, like you can't make this stuff up. And it's like, oh, it's just crazy the things that I see and then or I'll see it on a game or whatever. And it's like they're talking about it in the reading too. And it's like I don't get goosebumps from those things. So I'm learning to kind of discern how I'm receiving information. But when I don't always get goosebumps, but I get a knowing, or you just get that confirmation. And the confirmation doesn't always give me goosebumps. It just lets me know. So I'm at first I was like, well, I don't like this because I like having I like it when I get the goosebumps because it's such an immediate reaction to things. It's tangible. You can see it, I can see it, woo, got it going on. I could feel them going in different areas. But it's like it's for some of the stuff I'm noticing recently, there's been a shift with inside of me. So now I'm like learning more or discerning more how this is showing up. Or like I think I've told you, my goosebumps sometimes will hit the tops of my arms. Sometimes it'll go down the right side, the left side, the back of my arms, the back of my back. And it's like for me, the back, of course, we know it's supportive. So it's like when that kind of stuff happens, I know spirit supporting. You're being supported by something much bigger than you, something much more than here, this physical. So there's like so much stuff to when you start learning these suits, it's like there's so much stuff to navigating this ship.
And I'm right there with you. Yes, just yesterday I was doing something and I looked down at the clock. It was 3:33. And I've just gotten into that space where my very first thing I say to myself is, of course it is. And I'll smile and kind of laugh, right? I just like, of
Yeah.
course it is. And I just
Yes.
so there's that. And then I also kind of take an inventory, like real quick. It's not like, oh, I gotta sit and analyze this. It's just real quick, like how am I feeling? Am I good mood? Am I kind of irritated right now? Am I are things going well? Am I tuned into my intuition? Am I listening to my like just kind of a quick debriefing of myself when I see those numbers. Uh I mean, just this past week, my mom's been going through some stuff and getting some medical tests and okay, well, is this a validation of what's going on with her, like she's gonna be okay, and it's all those internal questions that I'm just asking the universe, and then a conversation will come, or I'll hear something, or I'll read something to validate whatever my question is. And then goosebumps, some people, I've heard them called god bumps, that when that your body is telling you, or your spirit is telling you, your intuition is telling you, like you get the goosebumps. And and I've been noticing that even more lately, like somebody's talking and my body just like, and I'm like, ooh, I need to listen to this is good. Or I have been hopping on TikTok, because actually if you get on a social media platform and you're receiving these goosebumps, to me that means this is like truth. They're speaking the truth, they're speaking what resonates with me, this makes sense, and I'll get those goosebumps, right? And so just really just learning to listen to that even more as I continue my journey, just like you are. So um it's, and even reading a book, oh my gosh, I'm reading this book and it's about the body and how the body it's called Body Keep Score. um and I'm reading it and my body's just like whoosh, I'm like, whoa, this is juicy stuff, man. It gets exciting.
It is. And I understand exactly what you're talking about. Like even here, when someone else is speaking, I, I wouldn't say it's necessarily always truth, but it's a deeper truth, or it's a deeper knowing that I've recognized that those happen. And it's like being tuned in. We're like we're always leveling up on this stuff though. It's like when you say listening, we're not just listening with our ears. We're not just listening with our spirit ears. We're listening with our whole physical
Yeah.
being. We're using everything. That's something I've noticed recently that I've been doing. I'm really stopping to listen and feel, how does that feel within my body, so that I'm paying attention. Goosebumps, you feel knowings, you feel, ooh, you might feel that in the solar plexus, you might feel that in the heart area, you might feel emotional as you're going to say something. And then it's like being in tune with when these emotions come up, just like you were saying, am I feeling good? Am I feeling bad? Am I feeling connected? In my intuition? But it's like a lot of these feelings just kind of let us know where we're at right now. And it kind of lets you know where they're at without taking on their stuff. So the more that I've been noticing, the more that I can sit in my space and listen to the other person, I'm not taking on their stuff, but I'm reflecting and seeing, how does that show up? How does that feel with inside this? How do I hear that from my whole being? So it's like listening with the biggest ear. You're nothing but an ear when that's happening. You got your ear to the ground, right? But it's like on the other side of that, you got the sight, that things come up and you see things, and it's just using all those tools and not being afraid to say things, instead of saying, so in the past I'd be like, well, this is what I hear and this is what I see, and well, I don't know, I don't have to tell you, whatever. I might have a more of a defensiveness about it. And now I'm like, hey, have you noticed this, or are you seeing this, or did someone say this? Or because it's like I'm on this journey to learn, and I'm not going to feel bad about the things that I say, but I can ask it in a way instead of just making a statement. So I kind of leave it open ended a little bit for them to have a response, and then I can hear what their response is, and then notice, how did that show up with inside of me? So then I get my own confirmation. So it's like nonstop learning, really. I'm not going on a class or going into something else, but it's like it's constantly an experience that it's evolving always. And it's like, as soon as we get a grasp on it, like, ooh, I got the goosebumps, I know what that means. As soon as we get a grasp on that, we're on to the next thing to learn more. It's awesome. It's awesome. It really is. And it's like just where you're at, like right now, and we're at, where we both have been feeling and where we've been. It's so different from how we've ever experienced in this lifetime, because I never allowed myself that stuff. And I thought about it again recently. If you're cutting off anything, your past, you're just making mistakes, or you're cutting off anything, you're cutting off everything. You're not allowing a flow, you're allowing a trickle. And sometimes not even allowing a trickle.
And when you just says I'm not allowing myself to, I forgot what, just not allowing myself just stood out to me. Whatever you said after that, I feel like it was more of a, not necessarily nodding, allowing myself to feel whatever, the goosebumps, the intuition, the feel into the situation. Like, I don't feel like it was not allowing it. As you were talking, it was I didn't understand it, so I couldn't, type of thing. But the more I learn, of course, about myself and about spirit and about universal consciousness and all the things, right, metaphysical stuff, that's where the allowing comes from. Because on the flip side of that was fear. I didn't understand it. If I don't understand it, then I'm just going to push it away and not give into it, not pay attention to it, not trust it. That's huge, right? Have trust in it. But the more I learned about it, it's funny because I just had this conversation last night that somebody asked me if I could work with their husband on, because it in his younger days he could see auras. Life has happened. He shut that down, and she was wondering if it could be reopened. I'm like, well, of course it can. We all can do it if we choose to. There are some things that is going on in his life where I told her, with the space that he's in and the habits that he has, I don't feel comfortable working with him, because I kind of feel like it, and I can be honest with her, I feel like it would be a waste of our time. And so somebody else piped in on the conversation, and I said, it's not just what I said. It's not, it's that we all have these gifts and abilities if we choose to tune into it, meaning our intuition, the goosebumps, the god bumps, the sensations, like I get a gut feeling type of thing, right? It's my clairsentience. When I was younger, I didn't understand it and I was mad about it and I pushed it away until I got into a space where I was comfortable with somebody to ask the questions to understand it more. And then the more I understood it, the more I embraced it. And the more I embraced it, the more I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? So getting past that, the blocks or the resistance of these tools that we have to navigate in life. I mean, we use a GPS system to go from here to across the nation. We use a GPS system. I use it just getting around town for some places. It's like, if I'm going to use that in my trusty phone to navigate me to get to a destination, it makes sense to use a navigation tool that I have that's from spirit guided. And to break
and yeah, and on the other side of that, we don't even, on the flip side, we don't even need that GPS system because we have our own internal GPS. I was just talking to my aunt recently, and she was telling me that she said that she had driven all the way from here, I'll just say Chicago or New York. She had driven all the way with her own guidance, like with her own, it got her there. She said she got a map when she got into that place to guide her the rest of the way, but she didn't, she just drove. And she said now then another time she used a GPS system. Well, the GPS system automatically picked up she was on her way to such and such, well, and it pulled up an old one at address or whatever, put it right in. And she ends up in a whole nother state that she intended to be at, so it was like it, and she said that she knew internally her guidance was telling her that this isn't right. Something's not right here. And she never stopped to look at it. But that's like such a lesson for all of us, because it's not that a good thing or a bad thing. It was a learning thing. It was a learning to, oh, I can trust my own navigation. I don't need to rely on this device. Sorry to whoever created devices, but that's again us relying on something outside of ourselves. And when we know, if you set it in your mind, this is my destination, this is where I want to go, you're going to go. If you listen to your intuition, you're going to go there, but probably the best way possible, not maybe the fastest route. Maybe it almost reminds me of the movie Michael, right? You remember that movie? And how they go to find this angel and it's Michael. And Michael's like, yeah, we're going to go here. And he leads them to all these other places along the way. That it was never a straight route because there was so much more to gain on that route than going the straight way. What if we went from walking to running just in a day? It's like we miss out on those little things about crawling around the floor and how it's so beneficial for our guts, and it helps everything start moving and strengthening and creating a better, stronger core. It's like the same thing. And we're doing all these things all the time. So it's like we don't want to get there. We don't always want the straight path. I don't think we ever want the straight path. Honestly, when we think about all the stuff you could miss out on by just going that straight path instead of stopping and looking at the world's biggest frying pan or whatever the stuff he was looking at. It's one of my favorite movies, but
and you I mean, seriously, we can't go from walking to running because we got to build the muscles. We got to build mental. Shoot, I lost it. Anyway, we gotta build the strength. We have to build the strength, mobility. We got to build the strength in our legs, and we do that by crawling because we do end up using our legs, and then walking. We got to be able to navigate the balancing system and be able to be on our feet, and then to run. Like there's phases, and it's just similar with our intuition. There's phases. Just like I said, at first I was angry about it. I was mad about it. I'm not going to get into it here, but I was angry about the sensations I was receiving, and then I found somebody I trusted to have the conversations with, to ask the questions, and then it was develop it. So there are phases in our process to understand ourselves and how this, Like, how did you learn a navigation system, a GPS system? You have to learn how to punch the addresses in your location. You got to turn your location on or put your location in the box. Then where do you want to go? You got to put that in there. And then you got to know what buttons to push so that the map shows up or the phone talks to you. And like, you got to learn all these things. And, and some, I mean, really, sometimes it's trial and error. And that for me, that's what my intuition journey was like, is this trial and error. We're just going to figure. I mean, I had people I could ask questions to, but we're all, we all have the gifts, but we all interpret them differently.
Yes.
So I can ask a general question and they can, and sometimes they were listening to their intuition to receive the information to help me. However, for me to discern what I'm receiving in through my intuition, I had to learn to navigate. So it's an evolution, and it's actually such a beneficial. We've said this over and over and over again. It's such a beneficial tool to have and to develop.
It's the only one for me. It's like the only one, right? That's the only one. That's one of the biggest tools that we've been gifted in this experience,
Yeah.
and we can use it always, always, or we can ignore it and just learn how to navigate. But we, even in that ignoring it or whatever, or trying to push it away, we recognize there's things, and it probably was always there. I just don't think I ever recognized it. I think I kept myself so busy running constantly and having the kids and pets and everything else that I never gave myself the opportunity to sit and feel any of that stuff. And who knows, could it be from this lifetime or another lifetime? Sure, it could. It could. It could be fear of, even connect. Okay, I've got to keep myself busy. I can't connect into that. I don't know. I know I had experiences growing up. Always, I saw my uncle that had passed away cover me up. I mean, I had seen stuff come off of a TV. I've seen, like, there was always stuff, which is kind of, some of that's kind of scary. Taking a shower and something comes flying off the counter and hits the shower door, and it's like, what the hell, right? So it's like so much stuff to kind of push away or to stand back from and try to ignore it. So it's just going through that experience, and we do all have, no matter what anybody says, we're always going to interpret it differently. And so a lot of times when someone says something, I'll clarify it by saying what I think it means, just to see, because I don't, because I might hear it differently, or I might receive it differently, or could be anything. It's even like, so I don't know if this is a relative or not, but like last time I was talking about group, and we're talking about doing vision boards and stuff like that. And it's like, afterwards I thought, man, I should really listen to how I said that. Like, did I sound like an asshole? Because sometimes I don't realize, maybe I didn't, and maybe it was just how I felt inside or something, but something just didn't feel right. And it's like, I don't seriously ever mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but this is my interpretation. And it's like, I'm just learning how to stand up for myself and have boundaries and do all these things. And so in that process, sometimes things aren't always going to come out the way they should for somebody else. But it's just where I'm feeling at that moment. So my inner child is learning how to grow and to do all this stuff, and to finally stand up for herself and say, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't how I see group going. I appreciate that people want to do these things. And I love, because to me, that when you're doing that stuff, you're creating, you're going to be here for a longer time, and you're creating things, and maybe you're not, but in so many ways you're like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay on this planet. I'm going to put a vision board up. These are my plans. I'm doing, having a plan like for the future. So, you're going to be here still. And I'm good with all that stuff, but I've just, from my perspective, it's not where I intended for the group to go in that direction. And I had to have this experience so I could say, again, this is contrast. This isn't what I want to have, but what do I want to have exactly, so I can clarify, right? So I know what I want on my path. And that's what I've been doing. So like I said, hopefully nobody ever took it in a different way, but it's interpretation, right? And I don't always have the best ways, even in my relationships. I don't always have the best ways when I come forward, and I don't realize it sounds harsh until the other person is so awesome to speak up and say, did you mean it this way? Because the way you sounded just now. And it's like, I'm glad they say something because I didn't mean it that way. And then when they do that, that gives me the opportunity when I'm hearing someone else say something, I can say, did you mean it like that? Because this is how I'm taking. They're like, no, not at all. So it's like, it's so, because we're all learning. We're all learning in this experience.
And in those moments with the group and with the conversations with other people, they're listening, or at least the person in a relationship, they're listening to their intuition to take a moment and ask the question to you instead of getting upset about the way you said it and walk around away, and then things escalate from there. So our intuition is so important in so many different ways. Like it's our natural process. It's a natural, and the word gift is used so much, but it is a natural piece of us. It's part of us.
It's
Our
ours.
spirit. Yeah. It's like, so learn to use it, embrace it, and use it, because it's so beneficial in so many different ways. Because in those relationship conversations, you can, if somebody's speaking harshly, or maybe they're having a bad day, and your body's like, this doesn't feel good, but I also know my body's telling me it's not about me, and it's about just this other person and where they're at with them. Like listening to your body and information you're receiving when you're having conversations with other people. So navigating around town, do I buy this product or this product? There's just so many. It's a day-to-day, moment by moment, useful tool if you choose to embrace it. So is there any other words you want to wrap up with as far as using your intuition and how to use it?
I would say, I would tell people, look up body testing, all the different ways. That should be your experience. Let that be your starting point, and then see if any of that resonates with you, and then move forward from there. Because body testing can do a lot. I've even heard heart testing. So, but to me, when you can have the physical body do a movement, I've watched a doctor doing, I don't know if it was a doctor or a person working on someone's body, and they would say they had a practitioner who was standing next to him doing body testing, and every time he would say, okay, this person has this, and then he would get a response from this person that has no attachment to the person on the table, right? And he would get a yes or a no, so he knew exactly what was going on in that body. So do some questioning, some searching, see what resonates. That's what I would say. Go check out the body testing. Start there.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great suggestion. All right, my friends, we're keeping it short for purpose that Bev and I've got a lot of life stuff going on, and so we're excited about what we've got going on, what we're doing, where we're going. So maybe in future videos we can share some of those experiences. And so we're going to keep this short. We know it's been packed with a lot of information and a lot of guidance, so be sure to have the conversations, whether it's with yourself, with spirit, or with other people. We know that there are lots of people on the planet that could hear this type of content and listen to their own internal GPS and guidance to know if this is, wow, what happened to my voice? If this was information that's beneficial for them for now. And leave us some questions and comments so that, and we do come back to them. May not be immediately. I know we're in this time frame of immediate response, but that's not how we operate. But we do come back to your questions and comments, and so we appreciate that interaction and sharing us. So you can share our videos, our content, have the conversations, plant the seeds, however that shows up for you. And we're on all kinds of different platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. So we're all over the place. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. This is Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.